Hello, it's Raven. Today we're reading The Child Rebellion by Ariana Cinnabon. And this is part 2 of chapter 1 because my phone messed up. And I couldn't get through the entire thing. But anyways. What? He asked, turning his chin to look at the brown-haired boy that perched on the bunk across from him with the circumspect eyes, his orange jumpsuit rustling noisily. Harmless, are you harmless? He grunted, glancing at the boy up and down assuringly. This boy wasn't a phantom. The telltale color did not inhibit his neck. You said it yourself. There's a reason I'm here too. He did not have a bit of tubing up his nose, not a merling, no wings that cross out Elytrian, off the list, possibly a Blazeborn. He wouldn't know until he viewed the boy drinking water, or if he was a Blazeborn, drink the red liquid akin to magma. Perhaps a feline? He didn't precisely have the cat-eye movements and the jumpiness of most feline boar, nor the furry ears. An Endarian? Maybe some hybrid Endarian? No, didn't have the dark skin. Why do you care so much? Perhaps because this boy reminds him of... No, he could not. He could not think of them. They were free from the grasp of the Erexians, in a better place, free. I'm Tubbo, the boy said. Eventually, Tubbo stared at him for a second. Tubbo blinked at him. You know it's rude not to introduce yourself back to me, he said finally. I don't care. I don't give a shit about stuff like that, he admitted, thinking of another place, another introduction, another loss, another place of misery. Didn't your parents not teach you manners? My parents are dead. As always, when he said those words, he remained calm and collected. Tubbo didn't know. It wasn't Tubbo's fault. Tubbo swallowed, and immediately pity filled his brown eyes. Tommy scoffed, "Tch," and glanced away. I'm sorry, he guessed. It's not your fault. You didn't know. You didn't cause it. The Rakians did. You were probably like 5 when it happened. You're what, 12? The boy quirked an eyebrow. I'm 17, he said. Tommy fought to keep annoyance off his face. So what if the kid was older than him? It didn't matter. Okay, maybe it did. How old are you? Old enough, he grumbled. That's not an answer. I don't want to give you one. I don't care who you are, or what you did, or how you ended up in this fucking cell. Just stay on your side and I'll stay on mine. That's not how it works. It is now. He said in a near snarl, turning over and closing his eyes. No, unless you want to end up with a pretty brown bruise to match your eyes. Shut the fuck up. Perhaps he was a bit harsh to Tubbo. Lapsed in silence. Tommy squeezed his eyes shut and waited, apologizing, but apologizing would end with a conversation he did not want to continue or pursue. Apologizing would make Tubbo wish to talk to him. It would make even getting him to reveal his name. It would start something he didn't want to. It would start another cycle, another person that he would have to forget about, or at least try. It would start another bout of stupidity that they always said he had. Wariness remained ingrained in his bones, and he would not forget. Tobo was here for a reason. Tommy didn't think it was the same reason why he was here. Tommy refused to open up to a boy just because he was his cellmate, just because he was a year older than him. Perhaps less. Tommy would sooner die than be weakened by someone he barely knew. And yet, the haunted eyes of the brown boy named Tobo lay ingrained in his mind as he drifted off to sleep on the hard metal and single threadbare sheet of cot. He wondered if he had made the right choice. Found a pet kid? Tommy turned, lunch tray in hand, once more to irritably see Corbin there, though fortunately with a bruised eye and row of stitches on his jaw. "You look great," Corbin snorted. "Who the fuck is he?" He pointed at someone behind Tommy, and he looked over his shoulder to see Tubbo staring at him, looking indeed like a lost puppy. The lunch tray in his hand, he noted, was a regular one. So clearly. The idiot boy wasn't an avian, or an Endarian who ate chorus fruit. Thank goodness he wasn't an avian. Tommy hadn't thought he was, though. He would have known if Tobo had been, but it had been a while since he was in contact with an avian, so he'd shut himself away from that mess. "My cellmate," he said finally. "Finally? Got someone your own age?" "Careful," he warned, putting up a hand and balancing the tray in the other. "Don't mess with him." "Don't pretend you care, kid," he snorted. "I don't," Tommy said, looking away as Tobo started towards him. "Now fuck off. I'm only trying to help your face not get any fucking uglier, dickhead." Corbin snarled at him, but wandered off to a different table, leaving Tommy alone, till Tubbo sat down beside him, fiddling with something that vanished into his sleeves the moment Tommy glanced at him. That guy seemed friendly," the smaller boy voiced after a moment. "I punched you in the face yesterday," Tommy said, "for trying to steal my lunch." "Nobody gets between you and your food, huh?" Tubbo noted. "Are you a feline?" Tubbo squinted at his head, trying to discern if he had ears hidden in his messy hair, but he wouldn't find anything after all. Avians looked like humans. Tommy brushed off the question. "I don't give a fuck about food, Tubbo. I just want to show him who's the big man around here." "That's a lie. That's a fucking lie. You fucking care about... No, all you fucking care about is food." "Shut the fuck up," he grumbled to himself. "And I suppose that's you, the big man?" It made sense that there was a hint of doubt in Tubbo's voice. Tommy was a tall, lanky boy, with not many muscles to his name. He hid his mental stars behind a smile and a quick skip. Indeed. Well, Will they bother me? Tubbo asked nervously. Again, Tubbo was reminded of someone else. He's not here. Tommy reminded himself. He's gone. In a better place. Remember that. He thought about Tubbo's words for a moment, scooping up a bit of greenery into his mouth and making a face at the lack of proper salad dressing. Sant had always made brilliant dressing, despite her not being an avian. Tubbo played around with his pork on his plate. He waited for an answer. Probably not. But you said... I said they bother me. And that's only 'cause they're dickheads. He snorted. I think they're just jealous because I'm so cool, he says. He smirked at Tubbo, who rolled his eyes. I've got to get out of here. The shorter... No, I gotta get out of here. The shorter muttered, glancing around once more. That's not gonna be easy, Tommy remarked. There's been like one escape in the entire time I was here, and he was a phantom. You mean Wilbur? Tommy shrugged, trying not to react to the familiarity that came upon him when he heard Tubbo speak. I don't know the name, he lied. He'd been 10, and he did know Wilbur Soot's name. They'd last shared a cell. Wilbur had been 17 at the time, and Tommy had hacked into the prison and input a coding set that he was sure still existed deep in the records. He squeezed his eyes shut, trying not to think of the consequences. That planet, those people. Oh, well, he escaped from here. Tubbo said good-naturedly, and Tommy was suddenly glad he had kept his name a secret from the skinny, brown-haired phantom. Annoyance. He refused to talk about it much, though. Tubbo looked troubled. I wish that he told me who helped him escape. Tommy really didn't want this conversation to continue. He'd been short, thin, and had dirty blonde hair, his hair had lined with age, as avians did. He was sure that if Wilbur had described him to Tubbo, would still not recognize him. He didn't want to mess with the Galactic Rebellion. He didn't want to deal with more arachnids. Honestly, the only reason he hadn't left this place was because he had nowhere to go, nowhere to run, nothing at all. He didn't want this to happen again, not after last time, not with the nightmares that he got. Sometimes with him, with them, the screams, the shattered his dreams. His dad had taught him how to hack things like this, the code buried in the prison system, allowing him to input a custom code that would unlock his cell. He did not know much, but he knew enough to leave. He had enough power to leave. It sometimes itched at the edges of his fingertips, itched to get out, that told him to run, to not look back. Perhaps he was just a coward in the end. He did not want to leave. He did not want to face the world. He did not want to face his past. Besides, he wasn't like he could run. The prison was on a coastal rock circling around a solar system of gas giants. It wasn't like he couldn't fly. He always loved flying ships, especially small ones that he could fly through asteroid belts with. Stat had sent him through simulations once. He had shown interest. Sometimes he dreamt of flying through the stars, searching for the same place his family had before the explosion. that had wrecked his entire life. Sometimes he dreamed of warships and explosions on that damned red planet. Sometimes he dreamed of laughter, light, and love. Sometimes he remembers his aunt stuffing him into the extra pod. He remembered his screams as she placed a hand upon the glass, her fingers centimeters away, close but not touching, never touching. He remembered her pressing the eject button, and he remembered her face as he turned to go rush to the bridge to his father. He remembered the escape pods of the Hoglins and the Piglins they'd been transporting, yet somehow he was the only one in prison. He remembered the crew's death as the rescue ship came by and they died one by one. He remembered his escape pod failing as the explosion came on, and watching as the Piglins and Hoglins made it to the planet below as he was left to float in space among the wreckage of his ship. 10 years old. He fledged innocence at the single line of code his dad had whispered into his ear, and the line of code that his aunt finished completing, something running through his mind as the arachnids questioned him. Remember living and others dying. Why are you here, Tubbo? He found himself asking. The boy looked at him, brown eyes and freckled face, too young, he thought, too young for anything but I'm part of the Galactic Rebellion, Tubbo muttered. I'm part of the Galactic Rebellion. Surprise flared in Tommy before he started. They recruit so young? He asked scathingly. What do you have against them? My parents worked for 'em, he muttered, because it was the truth. They never told him, but he wasn't stupid. He put the clues together quickly. They were transportation crew, but they had messages, and they dropped off in shady places and guns on their ship that other transport ships don't have. Really, they're dead. They're dead. He spat again. They're dead. Tubbo recoiled, face twisting, as he remembered that they'd exchanged these words before. I'm sorry, the boy said again, just as he did last time, and he probably would again, like it was a long time ago. He didn't know why he was telling Tubbo this. He'd known the boy for all of 12 hours, and yet he saw a bit of himself in the other boy. He saw a bit of himself, and he saw a bit of the other people from his childhood, or at least the counterfeit one he thought he had. Do you want to escape with me? What? He asked, his lettuce bit falling out of his mouth as he swung his head to stare at the boy in surprise. Do you want to escape with me? Tubbo repeated, biting into his apple with a noisy crunch. Tommy trailed off. Why are you asking me this? Don't you have a mission? Tubbo blinked at him. You weren't supposed to know that. I'm not stupid. No, I don't suppose you are. the brown-haired boy said thoughtfully. Wilbur was here accidentally. I'm here on purpose. There are rumors swirling around the inner ranks of the arachnids that one of our spies uncovered about someone that knows the location of the artifact. I don't know what that is, and I don't fucking care, Tommy said. But if you're looking for members of the Galactic Rebellion, they're all dead, tortured to death, or worse. They never last long here. You did. I'm not a member of the Galactic Rebellion, he pointed out, grabbing Tubble's apple and biting it. He did not discount that he hadn't been tortured, because that would be lying. And the other boy rolled his eyes, but he didn't move to grab it back. Tommy counted it as a win. Shouldn't even be telling me about your mission. I've always made a terrible spy, Tubbo said with a shrug. Tommy leveled him with a look. Good way to get yourself killed. I'm pretty good at that. You're pretty good at that, Tommy. Tommy slammed his hand down on the table, glad that nobody was near enough to hear their words or read the thoughts that braved his mind long ago. He knew that some species could do that, but the arachnids had never gotten one to comply. Look, Tubbo, or whatever. What are you doing? You're part of the rebellion. I could have guessed that. But the way... And don't even know my fucking name. Tubbo stared at him for a second, then pulled a data pad from absolutely nowhere. Tommy's jaw dropped, and Tubbo typed through it, fingers flying and bringing up lines of code faster than he could even hope to see. Tommy saw a guard's eye them out of the corner of his eye and started to approach them, his buzz baton raised. The data pad vanished once the guard had gone into viewing range, replaced with a piece of obscure metal and closely resembled the data pad. Tommy doesn't know where he got that either. Tubbo had a look of nonchalance on his face, as if he hadn't just broken every rule in the entire faculty. Prisoner T391. I'm going to need that. The guard was apprised, and Tubbo rolled his eyes before handing over the piece of dark metal. The guard examined it for a second before handing it back. It's just a piece of metal, sir, Tubbo said innocently. From the mining faculty back home. Reminds me of my dad. He's probably waiting for me. Tommy gasped at the lie that Tubbo had so easily brought up. Why had Tubbo failed to lie to him? The guard sneered at them before returning to his post. Tubbo innocently look turned quickly into a flash of disdain. Before that, too, was hidden behind his usual expression. What the fuck was that? Tommy demanded. That, Tommy, was the reason I'm part of the rebellion. Tubbo said naturally, and Tommy's eyes widened at his name. I never told you. You never told them your last name? I don't know it, he lied. Aha. Tubbo said. He didn't look like he believed him, but Tommy didn't care because his identity was sound for the most part. What was that? He asked. I'm a shulker, Tubbo said. There's a fourth dimensional space I can pull things from. It's another reason I was sent here. It's easy to escape. Shulker? Those don't exist anymore, Tommy said. The arachnids had said that they were like collectors, and he was the main attraction. Well, I'm one, so they clearly do, Tubbo said, sounding. You just have gestured randomly a secret dimensional space you can pull things out of? Yes. I hacked into the system and found your name. He paused. Nice bit of code, by the way, for the door. You saw that? Tommy snorted. Yes, I saw that. It stuck out like a sore thumb. Draym would be disappointed in you. Tommy didn't bother to ask who Draym was. Probably another one of Tubbo's ship members. And before you ask how I knew it was you, it had the coding, Big Man Tommy was here on it. Tommy smiled sheepishly. Yes, I suppose that makes sense. Tubbo's eyes softened. I'm not in the rebellion because I paid my way in, Tommy, he murmured. Nor because I'm a shulker. I have my skills, and though my crew don't enjoy Reed had many arguments about sending me into this precarious position. The way I'm able to manipulate people with a few words makes it easier for grown adults have a harder time acting innocent. Tommy admitted that perhaps he'd underestimated Tubbo. And that is the end of chapter 1. I will post another chapter, I don't know, later. I don't know when. Anyways, see ya.